I can certainly get you the details on that. I think there's a more fundamental question here. I think we have to ask ourselves, what's the premise behind public funding? The premise is that we're presuming that somehow all of you around this table are corrupt, that you're looking at special interests because you raise money for your campaigns the hard way. You go out and you ask members of your community to donate. And people make decisions about contributing to your campaign because they watch you work. They watch you work in the community. And they make a decision that they want to invest in you as members that will come back and help pass better laws for this community. That's the whole premise behind how we raise money for elections. And Act 244 was based on an assumption that somehow that process, that your hard work, your earning people's trust, that they're willing to invest in you by giving them money for you to run for election is wrong. And that somehow that taints you in terms of how you act as members of the legislature. And so that was one of the reasons why we raised fundamental concerns about this bill in the first place. But because we recognized that the county council wanted to go forward with it, governor allowed it to go into law. But there are genuinely constitutional questions. This is the U.S. Supreme Court that's raised the questions on the equalization. And so I think that merits some consideration on your part in terms of whether or not, if you move this forward, should you strike out that equalization requirement? Because as we do know, in addition to the funding problem, is that there are some legal issues here that really need to be addressed, particularly now if you're going to postpone this and give you some time to look at that until 2014.
So maybe they did say that in Massachusetts when they struck it down.
Well, for them, in many respects, it was a funding issue. It was if I understand correctly, it was statewide, and it was raising a lot of, it was costing them a lot. And the last point I would make is that the mechanics of this bill also have to be questioned. You know, if the bill imposes a ceiling, as Corey correctly said, of $300,000 for the Big Island, but in the 2006 election alone, you had over 23 candidates running in that county council's races. So if you try and take $300,000 and divide it amongst all of those, the amount of public funding you're going to get is very minimal. So there isn't enough with the $300,000 to make it a credible general funding campaign. So somebody's going to get really hurt if you force them to go through, I think, a general funded-only election at the council level.
I would just add
There's just not enough money to go around. And take a look at Barbara's testimony, because she shows the models of what happens if you have one person in each one of the 9 county races or 2 candidates in the 9 county races. Even if you just have 2 in each one of those 9, you're already at about $760,000 that you would have to nominally spend, as opposed to the $300,000 cap. So the mechanics don't work well.
I would underscore one other thing that she said. In a juxtaposed to the point of corruption, the perception is that she said it's all about transparency. Where did the money come from this to that, and being able to trace it. And that is key, no matter where the money comes from, it's being able to be accountable.
And that's what the whole campaign spending commission is about, and all of the campaign laws. It's about transparency. It's saying wherever you get your funds from, report it. And if you report it, you're giving the public the opportunity to make a judgment about each one of you as members around this table, as members of the legislature, whether or not they feel you should be reelected. And just as long as you report what you receive and who you get it from, that is the transparency and the accountability issue that you can be judged on.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Members,